So, my name is Jared Krinsky, and my topic is going to be about interactive creativity, pretty much bringing different mediums together and creating new ideas and creations. So, a lot of people in life, they think they can either create or they can't. Some people are artists, some people aren't. But I personally believe that everyone can create something. And pretty much through how I plan on talking about this, you might realize in yourself that you could do the same. So pretty much to give a bit overview of who I am, there's my business card. So I'm a teacher, a freelancer, 3D modeler, animator, game designer, artist, and last but not least, an interactive multimedia wizard. So one of the reasons I always have that really up there is a lot of people come to me and they say, Jared, what do you do? And I tell them I do all these things. And once I always get to like the interactive multimedia wizard, they're like, what is that? I was like, well, I don't really consider myself being a developer per se. I feel like there's so much more to it. And I kind of feel that I hit the cusp of technological magic where I can amaze people with what I create. And you don't really get many chances in life to actually officially call yourself a wizard. So putting it into perspective, there's a bit of a backstory to like how I came up with this idea. So when I was little, I never knew what I wanted to be. Every other day, I kind of changed my direction of who I wanted to become in career. Like when I was little, I wanted to be someone who made robots, or invent things, or make games, or just be an artist in different forms. And it wasn't really until I got to college that I figured out what I wanted to do. And in a sense, it's very important to all of you to kind of figure out your own way. So what does someone who doesn't know what they want to be do? So going into this, I went to the College of New Jersey in this newish program called Interactive Multimedia. And what it did was it taught a whole bunch of different types of classes in technology and pretty much how they work together in different ways. So with that being said, I had a bunch of these amazing professors. So I had Professor Claire Smuga, she taught me animation. Edward Kim, he taught me game design. Chris Alt, he taught me interactive creation in general. John Koipov taught me programming. And Phil Sanders taught me fine art. So when I kind of took all these different classes, they usually say go in a specific route and what you want to do. So like if you want to do animation, go into a whole animation route. If you want to do programming, go into a programming route. But that just left me with so many choices, and I really wasn't certain on what I wanted to do. So I really spoke with all these professors one-on-one and tried to figure out what's best for me. And working with them in these projects, it really let me realize that I wanted to do all of that and become interactive multimedia in general. And that was going to be my idea and my profession. So just to give a couple of views on how this works is I could take different medias, bring them together in new and pretty much create stuff in new ways that you wouldn't think of. So just say for an animation example, when you create an animation, you usually have music as like an afterthought or try to time it to music. But after you do that for a certain amount of time, it gets boring. Why can't we make it a little more interactive and have the music control how you're animating? Or with game design, I worked with Edward Kim, and we created a game that promoted good health and collected data for the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And it really opened my eyes because being a huge gamer, it was more of like an entertainment idea. But once we worked on creating stuff that promoted good health, I realized there's so many doors that could be opened. Interactive design just showed me how to pretty much bring all this together and market myself and pretty much produce what I want to produce. When I went to programming, I spoke with John Koipov at the time, and he was really helpful in pretty much having me come to this realization that I could create whatever I want and bring whatever else I knew into the idea. So he always told me this story about how when he started off, he was a graphic designer. And to most people, people would say, graphic design and programming, that's completely different. But once he got into it, he was able to program anything he wanted, and he brought all his artistic ability from graphic design into his own ideas. And with Phil Sanders and fine art, we learned how to create art that not only was fun to interact with, but it just promoted new ideas and ways of understanding. So once I figured all this out, we kind of came to this idea of how there's this question of what is IMM, or interactive multimedia? And what I took from it was it's all of this, and it's just so much more. These are just 5 little details or side areas that I focused in, but once I came to this whole realization, I saw that there's so much more, and there's so many more possibilities of integrating everything together. So if you want to do game design, a lot of big things going on right now with virtual reality. So what can we do with virtual reality that involves animation and game design? So you have interactive games, animations that you could interact with, and try a whole bunch of new ideas that we couldn't do years ago. And I feel that we're on like this technological cusp where we can make whatever we want at this point, and everything just keeps getting better and better. So we could figure out how fine art and programming could create music, and I'll be able to show an example of that in a little while. Or just even taking different ideas and seeing how we could work them into a new project or a new idea that might be completely new, or just making something even better than it originally was. So pretty much a couple ideas of how I brought this into an actual project was through game design. And like I said before, I worked with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation in creating this game that promoted good health and collected data. And that was really eye-opening for me, because when you think of the games, you think of just entertainment. But this actually helps people now. And it's just seeing how we could take something from medical and entertainment and bringing them together is just really insightful. With animation, you could create so many new interactive ways of viewing animation through pretty much virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, finding different ways of interacting with them. So some of the examples I really like to show, and just like to show how these ideas kind of came through, is with one which is interactive instruments. So every year they have like this showcase, and one of the projects I wanted to work on was trying to make something better. So for those of you who haven't been to the TCNJ campus, they have these giant pixel spheres. And they look nice. Some people hate them. Some people love them. And I wanted to see what can we do to them that would make them better and pretty much convince the people who didn't like them so much to really get a new idea and perspective on them. So what I did was I created this idea where I turned the pixel itself into its own instrument, and that fed to my computer. And while it fed into my computer, it popped it right back out into a specialized speaker that pretty much shot out vibrations back into the statue or the installation that created its own speaker as well. So you basically have this giant ball, per se, that you could tap on and make these beautiful sounds and shoot them right back out, when before all it was a statue. And it got a lot of people come up to me and say, wow, I never really saw like the potential in creating art that you can interact with, and it adds a whole new idea to it. So with this next project, I created Hologram. So one of the things we had to do is like a senior thesis, and what I did was I wanted to create a 360-degree interactive hologram, which to some might seem like a crazy feat, but it helped me learn a lot of things. And with that, it showed off like what I knew and my own problem-solving skills. So when it first started, all I wanted to do was create a 360-degree hologram that you could view, walk around, see it from all sides. And it was like a really cool installation piece. It showed off animation. It could do whatever. But I wanted to take it a step further. So before I figured out all this, I had to learn a bit of programming. So I learned to program enough to create the rig to record all these animations, which in turn allowed me to create this tool that animators and game designers can use into creating their own holograms. And once I figured that out, I was like, wow, this is awesome. How could I bring it a step further? So back then, it was when Leap Motion came out, and if you don't know what Leap Motion is, it's basically a little square that detects hand gestures. And what I did was, I wanted to add that to my hologram. So I learned a bit more programming and worked with some game design engines and worked on that. And it created this interactive hologram, which honestly, to me, it felt really cool because it was creating something from, if you saw like a movie like Iron Man, it's like, this is there, and I made this. And you can see how people can interact with this and work on new ideas. And it's fascinating. And I had a lot of people come up to me and says, what else can it do? And I was like, what do you want it to do? And they came to me and they're like, can we do something with advertising? And I'm like, of course. You could just create what you want to show and throw it right in. And it's fantastic because like even right now, I'm currently working with like an architecture firm on bringing this to life and allowing people to show how buildings and rooms can look in a 360-degree hologram, which I'm pretty sure no one else could really say. So along with that, I have some other inspiration. And I read this book on Clay Shirky, and he talks about collaboration. And basically, the main idea of it is how everyone could come together and create their own idea, and it makes something fantastic. Another person was Steven Johnson, and I was taking the inspiration through a bunch of different disciplines. So he wrote this book called Where Good Ideas Come From. And upon reading it, I really understood what he was trying to convey. So for one of the examples, it's like if you have one idea, but you just can't finish it, someone else on the other side of the world could have the other part of your idea, and you could come together, collaborate, and make exactly what you want. And it's really great for me because I love collaborating with people and trying to get more and more ideas out there and seeing how we can make new things. So I usually personally overload myself with a lot of side projects. For lack of a better term, it kind of gives me my own personal hell. But I love it in a way because I get to try a whole bunch of new things and new ideas. Right now I'm working with my friend Christina and a couple of other folks in creating a game, and we're trying this new idea where if you're in a game design company, you have your level designers or level artists, and you have like your puzzle designers. Usually level designers create the level and the puzzle designers design the puzzles based on that level. Or vice versa, the puzzle designers design the puzzles first, and level designers design the area around the puzzles. But we wanted to see what would happen if we took this idea and combined the two methods. And what we have now is a way of showing new puzzles in different variations so it doesn't feel so static and it feels fresh and new in every level. And it's just a really cool idea to work with. And one of the fantastic things I learned from being an interactive multimedia major in the school was how everyone had their own ideas, and a lot of people wanted to go in their own directions, but I still had access, and I was able to pick their minds, and we were able to work on a whole bunch of projects together. So now I could go to my friend Eric, who is mainly an animator and modeler, and we could create a game together, or an animation. I go to my friend Christina and create a game. I go to my friend Anthony, who does video effects and editing, and we could just create a movie or do something with photography. In the end, your ideas are limitless. And no matter what idea you have, you could try to make it a reality. Another group that I kind of get a lot of inspiration from is Nintendo. And that's because they always try to create new ways of playing and bringing new ideas into the market. So, of course, a lot of people know how a Wii works with the motion controls and all that, and how they have the balance boards and all these things. But at the time, it was only for entertainment. But now you see it working for health and just different ideas. I've seen it work for an augmented reality headset for motion tracking. And there's just so many ideas you could take from it. So I don't like to say that there's some people who could create and some people who can't, because I feel that everyone could create. And even if you're focusing on like one specific major or idea or, I guess, career, you could come together and create something awesome. It's like bringing science into animation, where, hey, I could show you how DNA is formed through animation, and you just see a whole new way of viewing it from a different perspective. And it's just fascinating. And that's why I really consider myself as being like an interactive multimedia wizard, because everyone has that ability to become that. And once you create something that you're truly proud of, you feel that sense of magic, and you're just so happy with what you create. Even if you don't finish it, you at least did something. And that's pretty much the main gist of what I try to come about with bringing people together and bringing different technologies together into creating this new media and these new ideas and moving toward the future. Thank you.